Hi, it's Stormy. Welcome to my channel, Roller Coasters and Storms. Things will be a little different today. It's my father's birthday today. Happy birthday, Dad. It might be a little bit more smoky in here because I am not going to be completely sober doing this because it's a little hard. This is going to be a bit of a hard one to go through, especially this letter I'm going to read. So I'm going to partake in a little bit of a joint. So excuse me as I do. But we're back for the 4th Workbook Wednesdays. That means I've been doing this for a month already, which that blows my mind that I've already been spewing my guts out to everybody for a freaking month. Like, that's a lot of talking, even if it is only roughly an hour or so. That seems like a lot because, yeah, I think I'm at 8 or 9 videos now. As always, we have our DBT deck and my BPD card deck. I'm going to randomly pick. Let's see how well my energy is, if it will go. Hey, Foxy. Hi, Foxy. See how well it will do. I also got new light. Sorry. New light. This is actually my tattoo on my ankle. My best friend did it. And I love my light a lot. I'm super excited for him. I also bought a cloud light I'm going to put together. And I have some string lights from a friend, a good yogi, who gave them to me that I love so much. And I'm going to create a little rain, storm cloud rain backdrop over here. That's my goal. Sorry. Let's start with my DBT deck. And I'm going to randomly pick cards. So we shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Oh my gosh. This tastes just like pina colada. Sorry. I have a new joint because deals are going on 4/20 and Saturday. And this, I think it's called a sugar cone. And this is their treats line. And they're super cheap joints. I have a big kick. I think this one's, this one I'm smoking is 59.10%. Tastes amazing and gets you a good stone for really cheap. So, is that the card that wants me that threw out? All right, here's one. We've got what are dialects? Fun. All right. Put these up. Ugh, dialects. And we're not speaking about dialectal accents. We are speaking of dialectical behavior. Is this really good for BPD? Just for the fact that we do a lot of splitting. I knew that was coming. I'm sorry. So, dialectics relate to the synthesis of opposites. Instead of thinking in all or nothing, either or, black, white, try seeing the shades of gray between the black and white. Practice being flexible in your thinking and finding middle ground options in your behavior. When in conflict, find something to agree about on the other person's perspective. And this goes for anybody, to be honest, especially now with things being our state of the universe right now is very much this or that, either or, good, bad. And it really sucks because there's so much middle ground. There's so much gray. And to just get another party to concede to their point of view is really hard. And it might not be the point of view, but even if it's just it's something in a topic that you can agree upon. It might not be everything. You might not change your view or change whatever your stance is going to be, but the fact that you're amenable and opening to listen to that other person actually makes things easier. I do feel, and this could be my BPD, there are certain things that we just don't concede on, like human rights. I am definitely someone who will stand up for human rights and racism, ableism, any isms. Like, I've had so much put onto me that, like, I'm not letting the entitled get away with it. So that might be something I personally have to work on, because I know in my life I have been stepped over and stepped on continuously, that now I have a voice. I might not use it in all the appropriate times. So instead of procrastinating on a task, like something large, like, okay, for me, it's time to clean the house. Is it really the whole house I'm cleaning at once? No. But even if it's just a room, even if it's just laundry, it's intimidating, right? So I like to break things up and say, okay, I'm going to get up right now, and for 10 minutes, I'm going to walk around, and just anything that's laying around, anything that's shouldn't be where it should be, I'm going to start putting it in the appropriate areas. I'm not putting it away, but I'm putting it in the appropriate areas. So for later, I can focus on just that area and not go, well, there's this sitting over here and this over here, and this is out of place and this is out of place, because I've already taken care of the little things. And so then I can go room by room and just focus. If I'm heading upstairs, take things upstairs while you're going upstairs. Start a little laundry. My laundry's upstairs while I'm upstairs. There's so many other things that you can do that are smaller steps to the greater goal. Just for instance, I had to go see my favorite girl at 7-Eleven today. For instance, now that I have an electric car, this is the only reason I go, is to get a fountain drink. But today, my husband wants to do a yard work, so we may hear some yard work because I have the windows open. It's a really nice day for once. And he's been getting sidetracked with other things, and he's getting filled that I wish I would have started this already. I would have more time for this. I said, but you did accomplish installing our Ring doorbell. That was giving us problems for a month. So you got that accomplished. That was a huge task. Like, so you have accomplished something in your day, even if it's not everything you get to on your list. This next one, because it's positive things about yourself. Make a list of at least 5 positive qualities you or someone else you are sometimes down on have. I can do that for someone else. Say, like, right now I have a friend who is very absent. Even though they promise to work at it and try, right now there hasn't been much of an effort in a month. And there's a lot on their plate, absolutely a lot on their plate. So sometimes I have to step back and go, okay, what could be the reason why they're not reaching out right now? And how should I be? Because I want to be angry. I want to be upset. I want to tell them they're not making me feel appreciated and then cut them off. And you can't always do that. There are times where you absolutely can. Absolutely 100% can. But not everyone, I would say, deserves that treatment, because not everyone, that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for some people. And so get out of my kitchen. And so I wanted to be mindful of the space that person's in, the challenges they're going through, and just make sure that I am able to be open. And at some point down the road, I may still say, hey, by the way, I didn't appreciate that. Couldn't even get a thumbs up. Like, you just ignored everything. And I don't do well with that, just ignoring, because especially being online, everyone's online all the time. But I'm going to be mindful. And so something like this, listing the 5 positive things of a person that you're down on, usually myself, it's going to be hard for me to do it. And maybe that's something I'll give myself homework for. So let me write this down. I will give myself homework for is that I will come up with 5 positive qualities that I truly feel, not that other people say about me, but what I truly feel, because I don't agree with a lot of what other people say about me, because to me, they're only getting spurts of me, and they don't get to see the whole evolution of the roller coaster. And so I know that a lot of people, it's hard to accept that roller coaster. It's hard to get on that ride. So it's hard for me to take what they're saying at face value. Like I can take the compliments, like today I got compliments on my hair and on my glasses and on my tattoos, on my Crocs, because I like to be, obviously, as you can tell, very colorful. And I can take those, and I know those are genuine. And I hope that my look, I guess, per se, my energy, like, I hope it inspires these people to do something like this for themselves, that you can show off a little bit and no one's going to care, that it does look cool. So many people compliment me on my hair. And of course, so many people ask me if I do it. No, I do not do this myself. I have no talent in these hands. That's why I speak so much. But I always tell them, like, oh, I wish I could do it. And I was like, why don't you? It's just hair. It's just color. And I get it for those that have really harsh job requirements or obligations you have to make, because some companies don't even are accepting tattoos, which blows my mind. 5 positive traits. Gross. I have a hard time accepting myself. Very hard. But look, one right now. I enjoy my laugh. I used to hate my laugh because everyone always stopped and looked at me and stared at me, and it was abrasive. I don't care anymore. I want to laugh when it's funny. I'm going to laugh wholeheartedly, and it's going to feel good in my chest, because that's how I like to listen to my music. It reverberates in my chest. So that laugh is coming from like a genuine good place. So there, I have at least one. I got only 4 more to do before next week. So 5 positive traits is 1. I have a huge and obnoxious laugh, and I love it. All right, dialects. Dialects is going to be a whole toolbox worth of things in here. It is not limited to these 3s. It's just examples to show you how to change your way of organic thinking into more mindfulness thinking. So, got the dialect. Sorry, this is my letter that I'm holding up. BPD card deck. Someone wrote me. Let me see what they say. Okay. Just my husband. BPD cards. Yeah. Oh. Mix these suckers up. So, as I read this letter, I'm going to try to keep in mind the place that my father was in. And a place that my brother was in. There are some like personal things in here, so you will hear me say sibling, father, cousins, things of that nature. Oh, I want to pull that card out. All right, so I'll pick a card on a card. We've got impulse management. Yeah. And maybe when I next Workbook Wednesday, I'll probably keep this card out, and so we can really talk about impulsivity with BPD and what that manifests into and looks like for different people. It's not all about the sexualness. So, impulsive images. You likely picture your behavior before you act. This is a critical point at which you can choose to engage or disengage from the destructive act. Challenge this mental picture and replace it with one that is less aggressive and self-destructive. This lessens the intensity of the situation that activated you. I don't know how to resonate with this card. I don't picture my behavior. Well, okay, maybe that's not always true. I think it depends on the situation. Kids are out. We have a park nearby. I'm trying to think of a situation that I could like really use this in. But for me, when I get impulsive, I don't know. I think my impulsivity comes from bravado or being under a substance. Like, it's really more spurned about my environment. So I think for me, instead of being able to imagine my behavior, it's more or less I need to be more concentrating on what the environment is like and knowing when I feel my triggers going on. So something I like to say about triggers, and this is what I learned from one of my therapists, a therapist I had just for a very short time, but this thing really stuck with me, especially being with BPD. So let's say your impulsivity or your anger. This is your brain that controls your emotional outbursts. So this is you could be your Bowie Bosov. No sir. No sir. Get out of my window. Hey, right now, out of my window. Bowie. They're kids. They're playing. Wait till summer comes. You're gonna see them all the time. Be a good boy, okay? I know. I love you too. You have no idea what I'm saying. You're just looking at me with dumb dog face. You're being a good boy right now. This is a good boy. Sorry, I'm trying to distract him while the kids are walking by. We just watched the children. Hey, excuse me. Bowie. Bowie, look at mommy. Thank you for the recall. Thank you for the recall. Good boy. Sorry, guys. 9 animals. I don't know what to tell you. That's what I was saying. This is your brain that controls your emotions, your outbursts, your whatever you want to call. Hi, Stinky. Hi, Stinky. They just got some ice cream, so they're happy boys. This is your main nerve. Let's say this is your last straw. So these 4 fingers are going to be covering your last straw. These are your triggers. These are events. These are thoughts, negative thoughts, especially like you spiraling. This thumb could represent literally everything you're having a challenge with. So if we think of this as covering and protecting ourselves, I'm trying to do better. There we go. I really wish I had my other camera set up. We have to be mindful of what's going on here. And when our triggers start opening up, and when our triggers do open up, all we have left is how to react in our emotionally unavailable state. And this is usually the age of when your trauma happened. So for me, being so young as my trauma, I cry. If I'm not getting straight to anger, I used to cry a lot. And then my mother kind of helped beat that out of me, I guess. I don't know why I laugh. Trauma. So when these get flipped up, there's nothing else we can do but act emotionally. Your raw nerve is now exposed. So think of it like an open flesh wound, and your muscles exposed right now. And things are going by, and someone flicks a thing of salt at you. Someone puts ice on you. Like things that would actually sting. And can you imagine just all of a sudden that raw nerve is exposed and someone's just pointing their finger in there? How are you going to react? How are you going to react? Freaking crazy. You're going to scream. You're going to hit them. You're going to push them away. You're going to yank your arm back. You're going to cry. There's so many different responses you can have when this gets triggered. So what we have to learn is watch out and our steps are going to be. So if you know that you're going to be in an environment that you particularly don't care for, but you're doing it as a favor to somebody, that's going to be one of those that's going to get flipped first. And then say you have a bad interaction with a person, or something that your friend, spouse, partner does sets you off, and then you come home and let's say something like me that happens from time to time when they get mad at me is cardboard gets destroyed. And so last time it was my Lurkana play mat and things, like it was all cardboard. It was all something I can easily get another pack of cards and get all that stuff again. It's not a big deal, except I know they did it because they were mad that I didn't take them on the car ride with me. So those 4 things happen. And even though the last one that happened may not have been that major, it doesn't matter anymore. That nerve is exposed. That impulse is exposed. Whatever you want to call it becomes exposed. And then you act on that. Just wanted to keep out the dialects, right? I'll keep them both out. I'm going to put my cards away now. So I keep that tool in my mind when I am doing things. Thank you, Jack. My first dog right there. My boy. I like to use that reference a lot to try to help people understand, like, some people have 4 fingers covering their nerve. Some people have 2 fingers. Some people have 15 fingers. Those are the ones that we always say, oh my God, you have so much patience. How do you do? They just deal. That's just in their chemistry to act that way or not react that way for some of us. Okay. We did our cards. I'm going to take a puff. And then we're going to get to the heavy stuff. Yeah. We're going to get to the heavy stuff. Claim my father's letter that I wrote. For those that don't know, my father has passed. My father passed March of 2020, not due to COVID, due to substance use disorder. And he did roll his semi and killed him. Unfortunately, did not kill him on impact. So there was suffering for him, which no one deserves to suffer. Nobody. So writing this letter in 2017, 2018, and then like rereading it, really, it triggered a few emotions in me: loss, anger, sadness, regret. Those emotions that you can name specifically: regret, sorrow, fearfulness, agitation, irritability, not being able just to say I'm mad, but I'm irritable is what makes people irritable. Lack of sleep, not enough caffeine in their system, didn't take their medications at the right time, traffic. It actually helps explain your story. If you hear people say stories like, oh, I just got mad. Well, that's a very big cover of what really happened, what really got into there. So when you dig down and find the right words for your emotions, it tells your story a bit easier for others and yourself to understand. And you might actually trigger something inside of you that you didn't realize was a feeling that you were feeling. So this letter, I have a letter that I wrote to my mother. That's a bit longer. So I wrote this letter and then I sent it to my dad over Facebook. Sorry, guys. This drink's pretty good. All right, no more procrastination. Let's use our dialects and get down to it. Dad, it has taken me months to try and get the feelings I have on paper, so please bear with me. When you were Dad, you were the funniest, crazy, adventurous person I know. I am proud to point you out as my father because I know everyone will instantly be warmed with your personality. I remember speeding down the highway in the back of the Corvette, laying against the speakers, listening to Shaggy and Offspring, always telling you, go faster, Daddy, go faster, to pass every car we saw on the highway. I remember, or try not to remember, watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time and being woken up gracefully a few hours later with a chainsaw coming at me. This was a horror movie, I would have died because I got stuck. I remember always having daddy-daughter days at Double Play Bar and Grill. That's a topic we'll get to. Learning to play pool, shoot darts, watch TV movies on the big projector screen. And that's also where I fell in love with honey mustard. I can never forget spending my first summer away with you and meeting my new family and losing teeth in the process. I also remember being left alone by myself or with strangers. I remember you driving drunk with us kids in the car. I remember you sneaking into my room and stealing money out of the bank on my dresser. I remember the hurt I felt constantly being told all the time that you couldn't come get me because you couldn't handle your life. I remember all the lies you told me trying to build yourself up to be a superhero in my eyes, even though you already were. I can never forget when you put your hands on me when I was trying to stop you from fighting someone for no reason. I also remember how openly I could talk to you and not feel judged or that you were going to reprimand me for choosing to live my life my way. I remember because of you, I fell in love with Grease, Dirty Dancing, The Little Mermaid, and every horror movie we could get our hands on. You were the one that taught me how to drive stick, the one that took me to get my driver's license, and helped teach me to drive my first car, my 1986 Nissan 300Z in baby blue with T-tops. I have so many more positive memories, but I also have bad memories. I want to share with you some of my life that you may not know about. When I used to stay at Grandma Green's house, my cousins used to molest me. It happened a handful of times, and it was more it was more cousin telling cousin what to do. That is why I quit hanging around them and quit staying the night over at her house. I never told anyone until I became an adult. I never wanted to tell you or mom as a child because you guys were rage fighting all the time, and I didn't want this to be another fight and that she wouldn't let me see you. I do not blame my cousins. This wasn't their fault. They had it happen to them as well. When my sibling went through what they did, and the man also touched me a couple times, when I realized what he was doing, I immediately left the situation and never put myself in that position again. I also never told anyone when it happened, but I should have because maybe I could have protected my sibling. I lied to you the day you demanded you tell me. Sorry. I lied to you the day you demanded that I tell you. You were so upset, which I understand now as anger and being scared. I lied because I knew you would kill him and I needed you in my life. When I first moved out, a boy who I thought was a friend used his fingers to rape me one night. When I was an adult, I went on a date and the man tried to force himself on me. I still wasn't strong enough to be forceful enough to say no. But thankfully, Jack stopped him. And I've never put myself in that position again. Well, as a woman can. I didn't lose my virginity until I was already graduated high school. And it was just a week or two before I turned 18. And yeah, it was awful. I had my first drink at 15. It was a shot of vodka, and it was absolutely terrible. I didn't have another drink again until I was 20. I never snuck out of the house. I only skipped school when I had permission. I've never smoked a cigarette. And up until recently, when I was in Amsterdam, I have never tried a drug for recreational purposes. From the age of 11 or so, I always wondered, would everyone's life be better without me? What if I just ran away? What if I got into a serious accident? Would people realize that I am worthy? And yeah, I still have these thoughts. Only within the last 2 years or so did I ever contemplate suicide. The strongest feelings of suicide has always been after one of your attempts. I always felt like, again, I wasn't worthy, that us kids were not worthy enough of your love that you decided to keep it for yourself. Even though we didn't have as much time together during my formative years, you did form a very big part of who I am as well as who I don't want to be. As much as I wanted to live with you full time because you were the fun parent, I needed the structure at mom's house, which um, I think now is abuse. Even though I have experienced ups and downs at both homes with both parents, I am both you and mom in one person. I have both of your guys' anger, and it's not a pretty sight, and I can be a nasty person. I have your sense of humor, mom's structure and hard work. I'm pretty sure I have my depression from both of you. You both have had tough lives, just like I had. I just know I don't want to let my demons control my life. I have been seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist for the past 3 years. So this is 2018. I have therapy skills and medication to find the new Stephanie. But I can never again be the old me. I can find a better me so I can become a more successful person. After the last big fight I've had with mom after Granny's funeral, she got a letter like this too. I am not singling anyone out. I am writing these letters to be able to fully let you know so that we can all understand my boundaries and why I feel the way I do and how we can all have successful relationships now. Over the years, I have noticed a lot of changes in you. Your drinking has become more and more excessive. You have been putting yourself and your family in dangerous situations. I know most of us just ignore what is going on with you, and I can no longer do that. I either have to try my best to help you or shut the door to our relationship. Your drinking has made and drug use has made our relationship toxic. I can't even be around you any longer. It hurts me so much. We don't have much family, and I feel like I am losing you. I have always enjoyed being around sober dad. Even when our opinions weren't on the same page, we were always there for each other. I don't expect you to be the old dad because we can never go back in time. As time progresses, we have to evolve. You have evolved, but so have your demons. They have become stronger, and I know you don't like to talk. I completely understand. Opening up is not an easy thing, but we all need help. No one is above help, and I really wish you would. I've known that you've been doing drugs since I was a teenager, and I wish I was stronger when I was younger to come to you when I see you needed help. And I'm sorry I couldn't, and I didn't know how to help. You don't have to be on medication to feel better, but you do need therapy techniques. I have improved so much understanding my high and low points and what I need to do to help myself. I know I have an addict inside of me. If I didn't care about myself anymore, I would let that beast out so I can numb myself from all the pain I've been through. Do you know that anytime any member of the Green family writes me, I keep expecting them to let me know that you are dead? It is a horrible feeling seeing you fall apart and lose control and not be able to help you. It is horrible to expect that any day I wake up, I could find out that you are gone. That's exactly what happened 2 years later. I know that you were angry with me for what happened with my sibling, and that was my desperation to get you help. I understand that my sibling is now following right in your footsteps. You were supposed to be the leader in our family, and my sibling is following you blindly. In that situation in Connecticut, you were both wrong, but you were the parent and adult and should have handled the situation better. But I also understand that your vices had you under the influence. I don't want this letter to come off as a lecture or that I'm reprimanding you. I am not. I just want you to know where I am in all of this. You were my only father, the only one I will ever know. I understand that you are doing the best you can, since you do not have a father figure in your life, but you also know that you can do much better for yourself and your family. You provide, but you can be a better provider for them, so that they can live in a better home. You are there physically, but are you there mentally and emotionally? Our family needs you, and it feels like at times you were just saying fuck you to all of us while we need you in our lives. We need your humor. We need your advice. We need your support. We need your strength. We need your knowledge. We just need you, and you need us, every one of us. I try my best to keep helping you and trying to be there for you, but you don't let me in. Even though we're going through the same experiences. You are me, and I am you. I feel like I keep giving you the pieces of me, and I'm running out of pieces. I don't say this to make you feel guilty. This is about me being completely honest. I miss my dad, and I do need you in my life. But I can't have you in my life like this. I need to know that you understand this. I don't want to lose you because so much of you is in me. And if I lose you, I'm going to lose a portion of me too. But if you're continuing with the drinking and drug use, I have to close the door on our relationship. If I don't, you aren't just killing yourself, but you are killing me too. I deserve to have a father that wants to be a part of my life and push me to be a better person and to support me. I haven't had that in a very long time, and I can't keep holding my breath for it to happen. Please, I beg you to get help. If you don't, I'm going to have to shut the door in our relationship, as well as anyone who enables you to stay that way. As much as I'm afraid that I'm going to lose over half my family, I have to if I want to live my life and live for others in my life that choose me. This doesn't mean I'm going to stop loving you, but I have to stop letting you affect my life. That I love you. I hope that my words can help entice you to be Dad. One of the best people I've ever known in my life. So I wrote this in 2018, probably April, May, June. Why don't I have tissue? And all the things around me, it's not tissue. So not even 2 years later, my dad died of his drinking and whatever else he had. Hang on, let me close the windows. Oh. Oh, you tore up your ice cream, Bowie. You're not supposed to tear it up. No. I'm gonna grab tissue. Give me just a moment. I'll be right back. Oh no! Where's the tissue box? Ah! Tissues. Because I got issues. Hey, Foxy baby boy. Okay. I'm back. Of course, he stops doing it right when I close the window. So yeah, I I sent that in a message, and I'm not sure if he ever read it, but his response was, because I think my stepmom read it to see what it was about. Hey, Batman. Hey, Dusty. We're going to get into some hard stuff here. So his response was, what? Am I the bad guy again? Which is very upsetting as a child for you to pour your heart out. And that's the response you get. That's the only response I got. I didn't even get like a response in a message. Then I didn't speak to him because apparently he was trying to get better. And some say he was sober, some say he was just putting on a really good act. In March 9th of 2020, I ended up in a German psychiatric hold, which, bad enough, right? That I put myself in a place like that to have bad experiences happen around that, then to try to sleep in a facility, which being locked against your will is very, very, very hard to manage. Especially when you have no tools. They give you nothing at all to help you calm down. It's very hard. So I got maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep over the night. And I was supposed to talk to my psychiatrist, my therapist, first thing in the morning. And the door opens, it's my husband. And I was so confused because I thought I was going to be an inpatient. They were going to move me to an inpatient floor. Thank you, Bowie. Good boy, you learning. That my siblings had wrote him. My father had died. And I couldn't believe it. I kept asking, is it a joke? It's a joke, right? It's fake because of all the times he would pretend to leave. I totally do. I know. Thank you. All the times he would pretend to leave. Or need to leave. Like, I thought, like, he was pretending, like, he wasn't really dead. I didn't believe it. And then I didn't know how to react because I'm in a psychiatric hold. And I don't want to be there anymore. And so, like, I couldn't even grieve or accept the information, right? And so, like, I never got to really deal with the reason why I was there because of my father died and then COVID was happening at the same time. I know, baby. You're a good boy. You're a good support boy. That's daddy. That's daddy. That's just daddy. That's daddy. Please don't bark. He's doing yard work, guys. Daddy's in the yard. So COVID happened and the shutdowns were starting. And we had to drive to embassies and deal with like trying to jump through all these hoops to get a passport just for everything to shut down. And at this time, we were trying to leave to the next base we're supposed to go to. And all of our stuff is gone. And then we get locked down for 3 months just living out of bags of clothes. We had nothing else. We had, like, an iPad. We each had iPads, but we didn't have anything. Like, so we had to go out and get furniture and pots and pans. Like, just go get everything and get in. Because we couldn't even get hotel rooms. It was so crazy. This is about to get really hard. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to be, like, so heavy. But a few weeks later, they have the funeral. I'm stuck in Germany with nothing. And I get up because we're ahead in time. So I get up so early in the morning. And I sit online and I talk through Messenger to my siblings and my mother. I even wrote some, okay, doodly-doo, okay. My face is uncovered. I even wrote something for my father to post because nobody asked me. Like, I said, what can I do? Nobody included me in the funeral process. Sorry, Batman. I'm sorry. It's doodly-doo. Thank you for knocking everything over. Doodly-doo, relax. You're making things crazy. Lay down. Like, there. Don't do that on camera. That's gross. Batman, there's no room, please. I'm shaking my leg too much. You don't want the roller coaster right now. This cat will sit in my lap as I just shake. So I get up early. I have my panda bear that he gave me. So the few things I have from my childhood. Very. I know, buddy. I know it's stressful right now because you don't know what to do for me. Don't mind you, Batman. Funeral starts. No one video chats me. No one links me in. Nothing. And the funeral's over. And my mother's on her way home and she calls me. And she said how happy she was that she got to go to his funeral and get closure. To get closure for a man she openly hated. And it was a beautiful funeral and all this stuff. And I said, well, nobody let me know anything. I didn't even get called in, not even to listen. She says, oh, do you want me to go back so you can see the casket? She goes back. And everybody's there. And nobody thought of me. And I know it's selfish, but like... So for months later, it wasn't until July that I got to go back to the States of 2020, and we were still in COVID, so we still couldn't travel. So over the course of the next 2 years, my stepmom starts giving away his stuff to And so my siblings are posting of things that they're getting from him. And I thought, well, maybe there's just a pile for me that they just put to the side knowing things that I would like. So I get to go back to Florida 2 years later. 2 years later. And I go see everybody. And I said, hey, is there anything dad stuff for me? And she looks around and she pulls out a garbage bag. And she said I was gonna take this down. I got to pick out of a garbage bag things from my father. 4 years after my father dies, that same sibling is following right into their footsteps. It's already tried multiple times. Lost so much family trying to heal through this. I tried to go to my father's grave, and I didn't want to go alone because I was really just scared that I wasn't going to be able to accomplish anything. And then there was a big fight about going, and I couldn't even try to get anything out. And then they tell me that he was healthy, that he was doing good, and they went all these fun things together, and nobody said, hey, why don't you reach out to Stormy? Why don't you just say that you love her? And that she's a part of our family. Instead, I got no contact. Nobody told me how he was doing. Because they were coached not to tell me. And I picked out of a trash bag this stuff. It's things I got 2 ripped up shirts, a very itchy sweater, a Santa tie, just. I would have taken some of his boxers, even because I always got him character boxers for Christmas. It's just the thing I did. It's very difficult getting validated by invalidation. My dad would get depressed a lot on the road, which probably led him to his substance use. And with the I just lost my train of thought. With his substance using, it was getting worse. He was going to harder, cheaper drugs, which I'm sure if he didn't die here, he would have died of a fentanyl overdose at any point. When he would get depressed on the road or be under the influence, he'd always post how much he misses his family. And then he would take a picture of his truck, and there would be everyone's picture but mine. But he would brag about me whenever I was around to anybody and everybody. he got into a fight because someone did say and then wouldn't say I was pretty enough because he was just getting more and more wasted. So there was no right answer. Like, but I felt like he just gave up, especially because of my mother. Like, it's hard enough to parent or live with a narcissist than try to parent with a narcissist. Like, I just felt like I'm too hard. I'm too difficult. So I don't understand why the few people that do love me do. I'm trying to accept that there is worthiness in me when both of my parents have invalidated me for so long. I don't like. In that letter, I mentioned a bar, double play bar and grill, which is just basically a cocaine front. My father had to work there, and I don't know if nobody would watch me because I was difficult, or if there was just no one available, but I'd have to go. It was a very love-hate relationship with that bar because I was very uncomfortable with a lot of the people there, and they trespassed against my bodily boundaries. Not knowing that a little girl at my age, at my 8 or 9, had already been molested so many times. Again, I have to point out this is why I don't believe in giving it up to this invisible entity. Because, an entity that created us is supposed to love us, not punish us or give us consequences or make us learn lessons. Why would this entity allows children to get hurt so badly? I digress. So it was really nice when my dad worked the day shift there, because we got in early for a bar, which is 8 or 9, and nobody was there. The first thing my father would do would put the TV on, unlock the pool table or the TV with the projector, unlock the pool table, and then go in the back and get him or the cook going on chicken tenders and homemade honey mustard that he made. I learned to play pool. I learned to play darts. When the guy would come for the stuffed animal machine, he'd always let me get one, and I get one for usually my sister. When the crowd started coming in, especially when it started to become lunchtime, I had to go into the office. And the office is small, way smaller than this one I'm sitting in right now. Small, with files everywhere. I just had this little path to a desk where I could eat, and this 8 or 13-inch black and white TV, knob TV. And I'd be in there for hours watching whatever 5 channels I got on that TV in black and white. A lot of the time it was the Muppets. So, do you have an affinity? I can't even say the word right now. An affinity for Muppets, I guess. I could tell when my dad started using substances there, because when he would check on me or have someone check on me, he would start being different in his demeanor. There's a guy there I did not like, Tony. He skeeved me out on the inside, and I never wanted to be alone with him. And he always picked me up Remember he locked me outside of the bar once. Like, he'd always mess with me. I didn't want to be messed with. I didn't want to be fucked with. Like, I didn't want to be touched. There'd be so many softball games because they had a softball team. Lots of time spent alone at the parks there. I got my tongue stuck in a Yoo-Hoo bottle once, a glass Yoo-Hoo bottle, because I was fucking around with it. And the suction caught a hold of my tongue. And my dad had to, like, I think he broke the bottle. He had to break the bottle to get the air in so I could get my tongue out. Lots of candy at softball parks. Lots of snacks. Lots of sitting and being bored out of my mind, especially when my cousins started playing. Dusty, was that you or is that my nose? My nose is squeaking. Dusty, was that you? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to play softball because I knew deep down I would never be good enough. And I wouldn't be able to practice to be good enough. So I remember him trying to teach me. I missed the ball once and it hit me on my head and bounced off my head into the neighbor's yard. He got mad at me. I remember when I fell and twisted my ankle trying to mow the backyard with all those crazy roots. He got mad at me too. I think I was faking it because I didn't want to mow. It was hard for me. It was really hard at 12 trying to mow that backyard. I would help. I don't mind raking. But mowing, it's too much for me. I remember when my stepmom was working. She had a really good job before she got sick, unfortunately. But she's doing better now. Doing much better now. My brother was born. I couldn't tell you if he was 8 months or 14 months. Couldn't tell you, but he was around that age. Not really speaking yet. I do remember that. My dad was very mad that day. I think I even wrote about it in one of my journals. I'll have to pull it out. He was very angry, and he had a friend over that I called Frankenstein. I did not like this guy. He scared me. He had a weird head shape. So he reminded me of a monster. Like, it was just the angles on his face when the light hit him. Like, I didn't care for it. It was very sharp. I'm a very round. Round is more pleasing to everyone's eyes. Sometimes I like sharp, but I remember trying to ask for things. I remember, like, it felt dangerous. I kept trying to ask to use the phone, and he wouldn't let me use the phone, and he got mad at me, and he, like, he basically locked me in my room because he couldn't lock me in my room. He made sure I stayed in my room, and there was fighting and wrestling and arguing and yelling, and he drove off, and I saw him drive off through my window, and so I went to go try to find the phone, and there was a man passed out on the porch, and I'm not sure if I called my stepmom or I called my aunt, the only aunt. My step family is like the only family I've known my entire life. And the way they treat our family, because we don't have the same advantages. privileges that they do. Like, they look down upon us so much. But they're the only family I had. Like, my grandma, the only grandma I met was my great grandma. She died. My great grandpa, he died. He was a cruise ship dance instructor. I've never met my mom's side of the family. Never. And my dad's side of the family was very traumatic with a lot of abuse. And so the only constant family I had was my step family. And I could tell I never really fit in. And they had no reason to accept me. Like, I was married in, and I wasn't even like a part of their blood. They accepted me to the best of their ability, I feel, I guess. Even though I felt very judged a lot of the time. It's very hard to be yourself. But I knew I had one kind of safety figure. That was my aunt. She was one of the few people besides my stepmom and her best friend, which I also call my aunt, got the most or knew the most about my story, about my history, things that they never heard before. So I thought I always had an ally in her. But she came, rescued us from the stranger that was passed out on the front porch. I remember my dad had this best friend, best addict friend, I could easily say, that very much indulged. I had an uncle that allowed him to indulge in his vices, and a few of his friends, because they're not friends when you really need them. They're only friends for a good time. We'd have to go over there and hang out and spend time, and it usually always ended up in a fight. My dad fighting someone over something stupid, a game, who's the better father. That was a fight that was in Michigan, visiting family. Everyone else got to like go up on with other family members and an RV and stuff, and I rode with my father and my uncle and my cousin in a pickup truck. I had a little, the seats that flip down in the back, so I'm face to face with like a 5-year-old asking me why, how, what, where, when. From Florida to Michigan. Or at one point I was even laying in the back of the truck because I just needed room to stretch, and fell asleep in the back of the truck while we were driving. I remember getting so hot and I couldn't breathe because there's that, roll out black thing to cover it, so you can keep stuff in the back. And we were in Detroit, and I wasn't allowed to get out because they wouldn't stop. Yeah. There's a couple fights there. I remember my cousins were partying up in Michigan because it was like a graduation party. I think that's why we were all there. And I wanted to hang out, but I also knew that, like, if I did one thing wrong, like, I was going to get in so much trouble. Like, my mom found out anything that had happened. Oh my God. She gets so mad when I don't tell her things. But I went to sleep in one of my cousin's room because, like, all the drinking scared me a lot because of being around my father and my mother. My mother drinks a lot too. Used to be white Zinfandel. Could never smell that wine. So many memories. And lately it was, I think, just vodka and that squeeze shit you pour in there. I can't remember the name of it. So I lay down and gosh, I don't even think I was in high school yet. And if I was, it was my freshman year. So mind you, I'm 13 or 14 years old, trying to sleep in my male cousin's bed while there's a huge graduation party going on in this town that's 7 miles long. So practically the whole town's here, right? And I remember being woken up to guys talking to me, trying to ask me who I was, like which cousin was I. And if I'm not mistaken, my cousin, he was one of my favorite cousins. He just happened to come in the house. I don't know, to use the bathroom or what, or to check. I don't know if he got into a fight with those guys, but he was very aggressive in removing them. And I could probably never thank him enough for that, because who knows what happened that night. So I'm very appreciative of him having somewhat of a clear head to make sure those boys left me alone, because everyone else, I think, besides like maybe 4 adults, were schnockered. My dad got into a fight. I think it was with my uncle that drove him up there with them about who the better father was. This is the same uncle that my father had to live with when my stepmom kicked it out. And he was just indulging. I slept on so many couches because of him. He used to get wasted. I don't know what he would be on that would make him, I don't know if it was cocaine, but that would make him so amped that night that we had to go on adventures. He used to go down to the creek by my granny's house and put me in a boat. And I was terrified because we're on the west side by Lane Avenue, by I-10, and we'd be in the creek, and he would go up and down, and the creek ended at one part next to a motel. And of course, while we're down there, I think we were trying to turn around, which now I wonder if he was meeting someone up there. A woman started screaming. So my father paddled up to this little edge, told me to lay down in the boat. Just a kid. I'm just in middle school. Lay down in the boat while he gets out and tries to help someone. I don't know. Someone's screaming bloody murder. You leave your kid alone in a boat? This just doesn't make sense to me. In Florida, with crocodiles, or not crocodiles, gators, that's stupid, but anything could happen. So many times, so many things could have happened. Oh, but they didn't, right? It's still traumatizing being left alone in a hotel while you go on a date or go get drugs, or being left alone in a boat, in a car, in a house with strangers. It doesn't feel good. You don't feel safe. You don't feel like you matter because they're choosing whatever else. As my letter said, it wasn't all bad. He had a lot of passion in him. He had a lot of dreams. He couldn't keep his feet on the ground. He always had his head in the clouds of wishing, wanting ideas, how to do, which I wouldn't be surprised if he was neurodivergent. Everyone thought my dad was hot. So on the weekends, he would come and get me. All of a sudden, I was the most popular kid in school, especially when he drove up with his big old semi truck for deliveries, and I had to go straight from school to deliveries with him. And we would, he wrote for Cisco, so I can never get Cisco out of my head, especially when I see it. Unleash the dragon. Anyways, I'm old. we would ride along to the beaches and stuff, like really far out there, like the Tablet Islands and shit like that, and deliver food. And then we would stop at a restaurant. He would eat a shit ton of oysters. It was so gross. Hey, Bowie Bosa. Bowie Banana. Good boy. Good recall. We're learning. Good recall. Good job. Good job, my Bowie Bananas. In a moment, I'm going to take you potty, okay? Okay. I know. I see you too. You matter too. Here, Bowie, come up here. Come up here. There you go. Now you can turn around. Oh, you want to come up? Yeah, you can come up. Don't get any ideas, though. Don't you get any ideas, though. All right. Why don't you go play? Go play. Go get it. I would definitely like a movie buff because of him, and it only got exacerbated when I worked at a movie theater. To find enjoyment. I mean, he picked on all of us constantly because he was the dad and he could. He'd always try to shrink me and stop my growth. He'd always try to make the lines in my head deeper because he had them. He'd try to give me a butt chin. Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp. Back up, please. Go on. Go. Bowie, come on. You have to go. I know, it's a tight corner. I moved the couch. You gonna sit up here with mommy? Okay. Hi. Don't beg. It's okay. Don't beg. So, he took me out paintballing. That was fun. He took me to drive. We did Adventureland and mini golf. Mini golf was our thing. Sir Looney Golf. Sir Looney Goonies Golf. For those of you that remember. That's why we have the T-Rex, the orange T-Rex. We'd always stop by because it'd be on the way home from him dropping me off for the weekend. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, I saw it for the first time with him. It was a little scary as a kid, a little boring too, to be honest. But they were doing a lot of construction around my uncle's house. And at night, I wasn't as well navigated as I could during the day because everything was photographic to me. So I knew exactly where I was. So at night, and then him turning down a road, I didn't know. And just seeing like this dirt trail, even though it's all just behind developments and houses, like I couldn't register. And I thought he was going to take me, like we were going to find something. And I was not in the mood. I was terrified. I was screaming at him. No, Daddy, no, I don't want to go. Please, like just screaming at him because he's left me. So we go home and I go in my room and I'm sleeping. It's early in the morning. So my he's walking and talking a little bit. So this is maybe he was 2 or 3. He used to like to fuck with my door lock a lot. I always have to yell at him to leave me alone. I wanted to sleep. I didn't get to sleep in at home. I only got to sleep in at my dad's house. And I didn't have as many chores at my dad's house as I did at my mom's house. So like it was my relaxing time and I'm not in school. I usually don't have homework. So I'm trying to sleep and it keeps messing with my door. And I keep yelling through the door, just leave me alone. I throw the blanket over my head and I roll over. And mind you, I always, for the most part, have had a bed against the wall. I just feel safer that way. And so my bed's against the wall, and all of a sudden my door kicks open, and all I hear is, and he's running at me with this chainsaw, and I am screaming bloody murder, trying to back up, trying to get away. And what I end up doing is I end up, in my force, pushing my bed against the wall, and I fell in between the crack in the wall, the bed in the wall. I fell in between the crack, and my chin is on top of my knees, and I'm kicking my legs, screaming to stop, and he's laughing his ass off. Thankfully, there was no chain. He was smart enough to take the chain off. I smoked it, set off the fire alarm, and I don't think I came out for like an hour, maybe. There's so many times where like I just locked myself in my room because of a prank he did. I did get to go to him for some advice, and even though it was advice that we always didn't agree on, it was nice to have a different perspective on things. And it was nice to have a parent that seemed like they cared. Now, mind you, my father was only 54 when he died. And it's okay. I was 34, right? No, 34? Why can't I math right now? It's 33. I wasn't 34 yet, so I was 33. We have 2 years difference, my father and I, in years. I feel like the math isn't mathing right now. How old was I? I calculator. Yeah, I was 33. All right, mathing's kind of mathing. As I gonna take another inhale, make my mind a little crazier. So he's a young dad. I think it was 17 and 22 or 23 when they got together. So I have very young parents. I'm a product of a one-night stand. Yay! My dad tells a story of my mother came in with her personalities in a nightclub and was attracted to his go-go dancing, and hers was, well, no, he met me at there's a chicken joint. Why can't I think of the name of it? I can see the logo in my head. It's gonna come up in a moment. Bojangles. There we go. It was Bojangles, and yeah. So as we can tell, like my father did like to embellish a lot of things. My father shot himself once. And the story that was told to me was that he was trying to help this bar manager's wife or something, or bar owner's wife, and there became a tussle and something with the gun, and he got shot in the process. He likes to tell me how he woke up on the table and they were like, we can't find the bullet. We're just going to sew him back up. And he's like, no, you're not. You're going to get that bullet out of me. Because he really liked telling that story. Come to find out many years later, it was because he wanted to do it. And there was a wrestle match going on between him and my stepmom, which I can't imagine the trauma that's on her through that, especially if he hadn't have made it. Sorry, I'm just it's a lot. I remember one time he came home from being out at the bars and his face was beat up, and this guy was like the Big Show for those wrestling fans out there. He was that big and that tall, and he might have got me here, but I got him good, and he came up later and apologized to me, which he probably just apologized in general. Hi, baby. Hi, Bowie. He was probably just apologizing in general because they did have an argument, probably over something really stupid, and the guy probably realized it. But come to find out, he got his ass kicked. Like, there's just so many things that I don't know the truth about when he recounts things, or like what he's telling us. Like, us siblings loved him so much for his fun and goofy sides. Like, he didn't have to make himself bigger than he needed to. He didn't have to puff all this air into these stories. Like, we loved him and looked up to him and regarded him as our hero, as our strength, regardless. So I wish you could have been more honest with us and himself. It's Daddy. It's just Daddy. One of the last physical conversations I had with my father was after a fight I had with my mother. And that's things I'll get to later on in one of my continuing journey stories yeah. I have like in-depth stories with people, and then I have like normal, just everyday life. So like for Ryan and I's relationship, my husband and I, that will be like completely separate. I'll gloss over it in my journey, but that's going to be a whole nother meat and potatoes thing to get to. And it's going to be very real for those that are married or wanting to be married. It is not a rosy path. And we have been together 15, 16 years. Not married that long. Almost married that long. But you have to put the effort in. You have to make it work. Especially as you heal. And I say it and I say it and I say it. As you heal, it's lonely because you start having to cut out toxic traits in people who have yet to learn to respect your boundaries. Doesn't mean they won't ever. Doesn't mean that they can't try or you can't try with them later on. But at some point, you have to put the wall up. And it's really hard with family. Like this letter was so hard for me to do. And then I got the response that I did. And then not even 2 years later, my father is dead of the very things I said. His demons took him. His trauma took him from us. And I said to him after he came and got me, and we dropped off my rental car, and he was going to take me back home or to the airport. It was one of the two. And we were eating at an Outback, and he didn't even drink. We just kept ordering sweet tea. And I made such an effort to tell him of my depression and my anxiety and what I've got going on and how I feel such a similar bond and a similar connection to him. And by God, if he could just talk to me so I know I'm not alone and like maybe it'll help him not be alone and that like we can work through it together. And he said, yeah, sure. I'll try. All I got was a random I love yous as I video chatted with my siblings. Twice, maybe in 2 years. So it's hard being on the outside. It's hard not being able to live with your family. Hi. Hi. God. Some of my favorite times was just him and I sitting down, watching cartoons together. X-Men. That was one of our favorites. He got me into video games. Earthworm Jim, Sonic. Bubsy Bobcat. That's one of my favorite games with his Nerf gun and traveling through time. I also have a piece, and I think I will expand upon it when I talk about my journey about my stepfather. I have a stepfather by marriage, but then I have a stepfather who I considered very helpful in my formative years, especially as my mother as a constant, before he could no longer be constant because my mother is very difficult. I remember such good things about my dad, but they're always, stop pushing me. You're going to push me off the couch. Those memories are so heavy and so burdened with the trauma that, hi, Ziggy Zoom Zoom. I'm sorry, there's really no room for you. Next time, you can come up here, okay? Yes, I love you. Chico boy. I'm gonna let you out soon so you can go see daddy. So it's really hard to like separate the two. And I'm actually gonna write this down as some of my dialect behavior as well. That I do want to make a good and bad of my father, and that way maybe it'll really internally help me separate, and I can hopefully through this process unburden the bad and still keep the good. So I should probably do one for my mother as well, but that's going to be extremely difficult. Both of my parents have severe trauma. And I don't discount that at all. I just discount the fact that they won't help themselves while telling us to get help. Because if I need help, you think I need help. Well, it shouldn't you, who's been through a worse situation. Both of them were worse than my situations. You would think that help would go both ways. And that way we can connect as a family, as a unit. Not so much my mother, my father, and I, but my mother and my sibling, and my father and my siblings and my stepmother. But yeah. Maybe one day I'll get that. Oh yes, let me write that down. So 1, 2, 3. The 5 things that are positive that I like about me is homework. And then I have homework for next Wednesday on splitting, which we don't want to do in our everyday lives, but it's acceptable as dialecticals to understand why some of these memories, traumas, feelings overlap. So splitting the good versus the bad of my parents, and then maybe I can just unburden. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, I think I've said this before. What I'm really hoping for is in this process that I take all this weight that I am spewing out ad nauseum to everybody else and no longer have it riddled and residing inside of me. And I hope maybe with that course that my body no longer feels in trauma mode, and that there's grace and gratitude, and maybe certain things like fibromyalgia will start to lessen because it's a nerve impact. So it's just like a rewiring of our neural pathways that, like, when someone gets poked, it's ow, but when I get poked, it really hurts. And I remember my dad was making fun of me that, like, oh, it doesn't really hurt. No, it does hurt me. It does hurt me. God, so many invalidations of your body and yourself as a child from your parents is really insane. Which is probably why, I didn't have good boundaries growing up as an adult, and I still don't have good boundaries with myself. Like my addiction to soft drinks. It's the one true comfort in my life. I blame the movie theater for that as well. Even though it was one of my favorite jobs ever, it caused a lot of my addiction to soft drinks. They were free. It was my only caffeine. I don't drink coffee. Coffee and cigarettes. That is one smell that I always remember from my father. Coffee, cigarettes, Stetson. Coffee, cigarettes, and Stetson. Those are the smells of my father. I hated the first two. That's probably why I don't drink and I don't smoke, because it was always coming off his breath, because he'd get really close when he'd get under the influence. And so he'd be a really close talker, which I don't like anyways. My doctor today was a very close talker, and that was frustrating. I wanted to like kick his chair back away from me. I couldn't even like extend my leg. He was so close, but he did have to work on my hands. I will wrap up about my father here, and I do want to speak on at another point in time, and I'm going to write this down as a future topic. Doctors. and what hoops you have to jump through, especially as a woman who isn't allowed control of her body, what hoops you're jumping through to get recognized that you actually have something internally wrong with you. And I have a few stories on that, where also invalidation comes from on the medical side, as well as your generational side. And like, for me, I had dreams of doing things, and I've had influential people to me, usually teachers, tell me, well, they don't like the way I do it, so it's wrong. Which generally in things like writing, your voice is your voice. You can't tell someone their voice is wrong. So that's something I have to work on, because I do have a lot of stories I want to tell, but that person hovering, people think words don't matter, but words matter. They stick with us. I'm going to quit doing that because I'm shaking on my extra weight. That's also how I know, like, I'm not doing as well, because over this past month, I've had a very, it makes sense now. The month of doing this past month, I have had a major uptick in my soft drinks, and it's probably because of my stress, and that helps me. And so I've gained like 5 pounds this month because of that. So is this helping? Something that I'll likely get an outside opinion on. But I had horse therapy this week, which I kind of verbally vomited everything that was kind of on my mind with no direction. And I got to groom my horse, where 2 weeks ago I was strictly mindful on the horse and not letting another thought in my head. So obviously I am stressed. Yeah, because I started this around my mother's birthday. And we're a month in. Yeah. So maybe there's a lot of triggers. See, these are the things that is good to talk out and get, because all of a sudden it makes sense. A connection happens. You're like, duh, why didn't you see this the whole time? Everyone else can see it. No, you have to make the light bulb moments happen. No one else can make those light bulb moments happen but you. And that usually requires work. Nobody wants to do work, especially when it's work you are not getting paid for and it is traumatic as fuck. You'd much rather just ignore it. I get it. I do that. But if I want to get healthy and I want to be better, then I need to deal with my trauma. I see my PTSD therapist for the first time next week. So I'm excited to kind of grasp an understanding and hopefully learn, like, if I can get my body to learn that I'm safe and I'm okay, that I'm not going to be so tense and tight like I am all the time. My poor chiropractor, like a massage therapist, they're like, what do you do? And I was like, nothing. This is me. I'm always tight. I'm always worried about something. I'm always checking. I'm always in fight or flight. What am I going to do? So just think of me as like a damn gazelle. Like, do I stay and try to headbutt, or do I run? Like, I'm just stuck permanently in this position of, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What's the situation call for? Usually I don't like pina colada because being from Florida, it smells like sunscreen, and I hate that smell of sunscreen. Of course, I never really wore any as a kid, but yeah. I do not like that. So this tastes pretty good. So with that being said, on my father, and now some homework, repeat 5 positive traits about yourself, and then trying to split my memories of my parents, good versus bad, so I can keep the good, and you don't throw away the bad, but you unburden yourself with the bad. And this is my unburdening. Others, people who don't have, let's say, parental trauma or generational trauma or sexual trauma or any physical trauma, you just think that, hunky-dory lives, but they have financial trauma. They have toxic workplace trauma. Like the toxic workplace mentality is so vile and so, like, especially nowadays where people just demand everything. Everybody's kind of out for themselves out nowadays, and it's intense. Um, you know, a couple days ago, I went out and got some flowers and a thing for a toddler and some goodies, some cakes or cupcakes or cookies, something like that. And I delivered it to this house behind me that in 2021, I was there for the overdose of her daughter. And I just can't imagine going through that. And so every April, I drop something off in a plant because the mother really loves gardening. And I noticed soon after her daughter passed, she had like placed some things on her garden. So I always give a plant in hopes that she'll be able to just be surrounded with the things she loves. It was a very difficult time, and to see someone go through so much pain and anguish, and can imagine like nobody coming. Like I couldn't even like jump over my fence. I had to run all the way down the street, off of a busy street, through a cut section, and then back over to their house. Even though I could literally have the fence at the time. Now I can because the fence is a lot sturdier. The old fence, I would have fallen right over. But I just can't imagine not having community. Even if you don't know the people, like you should still, I don't know, consideration is a really big trigger of mine. So it's hard for me to get past that we don't help each other, and that we just decide that once we leave our home, we get to be toxic to each other, which spills into our work environment. It spills into our shopping regimens. It spills into traffic. The amount of people getting shot at over road rage, ridiculous. Like all of these things stem from a certain place. So why not share the burdens and share everything and find a community of support instead of saying, well, if everyone else is out for their own, so am I. I'm not sure if that's a good point to leave it on, because I think I'm kind of rambling a little bit. All the emotional drain from just doing that cry and thinking so much about my father it's starting to get heavy and pushed down. And when that heaviness comes, I said it before, I go gray and concrete, and I just kind of start shutting off, and feelings kind of just don't slide off, but like they bounce off. Like I don't really connect. So before I go completely just shut down, I'm going to go ahead and try to end it. We did our cards. I'm not going to say for sure if I'm going to come back and start continue on with the retelling and not do a Workbook Wednesday. But if I don't, I will see you on next Wednesday. See whoever, anyone, no one. I see myself next Wednesday. So I can be accountable for more DBT skills and more BPD knowledge, and hopefully some PTSD work I will be going on. As always, it's the middle of the week. I hope the rest of your week is as simply as I can state, uneventful. I hope you get to just coast. I hope there's enjoyment. I hope, even if you don't want enjoyment, I hope there's just that nothing, that calmness that gives you that break from all the pressures that's going on today. So if you want a good week, I wish you a good week. If you want some drama in your week because you're bored, then by all means have your drama. I don't want any. So again, be safe, be kind. We all deserve kindness towards each other, especially to ourselves. And that's one I will always have to keep digging in and keep kicking myself in the butt for, even though kicking yourself in the butt is not very kind to yourself. Be well. Thank you for, again, joining me on this month-long journey now. I really appreciate those that do engage and show support where they can, how they can, even if it's not reaching out or anything like that. Like, I'm just appreciative that my message can hit some people. And again, if you think you need this, you're more than welcome to share any of my videos. You're more than welcome to send them directly to somebody. I do have a Facebook group, Roller Coaster of Storm. of storms with an S, plural. Right now it's just kind of memes. I'm gonna start sharing some more really in-depth stuff, but basically just a support group. Anyone can share their story in my group. And if anyone wants to come on and share chats live on YouTube, I'm more than down for that too. Because the more knowledge we have about what's going on with each other, the more insight we can find upon ourselves and others who we might not have fully understood. So be well. Bye, guys.